One of them issued threats against the police officers, saying they should do their work well because they know where their family members live. Now, also, we have MPP leads NDC in Parliament with 1 seat. MPP makes massive gains in the northern region. Now, Ghanaian Times, again, 44 die, 169 injured in road crashes during election period. Minority protest stolen election verdict, but majority disagrees. And this was also in Parliament yesterday as they resumed sitting. GPCC urges stakeholders to prevent post-election tension. And remember to wear your nose mask where you cannot keep that 1 meter distance between yourself and the next person. Daily Graphic, Parliament records higher sittings, according to the Speaker, accepts 3,461 papers, 7 private members' bills being worked on, and seek redress in courts. Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council tells the NDC president attends Ouattara swearing in as part of a 3-nation trip. And so it starts with Cote d'Ivoire, and then he will end up in London as well. But let's uphold country's peace, security experts. And the Finder also says lay down processes established by law to seek redress, according to the EC. More private capital flows needed to drive financial inclusion. National Hydrographic Office opened in Ghana on page 8. 2,310 perish in 11 months, and 945, that represent 40.9% of them, were killed by motorcycles. And Tampuli, Dr. Amin, key MPs behind Nanado's big gain in the northern region. Integration of NHIS and Ghana cards sparks surge in mobile renewal of membership. And finally, the Business and Financial Times, Bank of Ghana takes steps to reclaim monies locked on digital platforms. Analysts divided on impact of post-election disputes on economy. And finally, Bui Power penetrates West African market. Joining us in the studio, and we have Honorable Pius Haji there. He's the Deputy Minister for Information in the country. We're yet to receive a rep from the NDC joining us on Newspaper Review. Good morning, Pius. How are you?
Good morning, Belle. I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. I think that there is enough space between us
I believe
to not
so.
use the mask.
I believe so. I believe so. It's fine. I see you're in white.
Yes.
Still celebrating.
Well, we have reason to be grateful unto the Lord and to be grateful to the people of Ghana for a renewed mandate for His Excellency the President and a majority of the membership of Parliament, 137 and counting. And so there's all the reason to be grateful unto the Lord and to show appreciation to the people of Ghana. But so personally, I've decided that I'm going to be wearing white for
quite a while.
Yeah.
Just personally, but is it also something the party members will be doing?
Well, I see a lot of party members doing it. I think it's a good thing. I want to encourage it, but I am not advised that it is compulsory.
Okay.
But I have noticed that a lot of our party members are putting on white, and I will encourage it.
The concern, though, the NDC is contesting the results, and they insist that as it stands now, they have more seats than the NPP, and they're going to contest that. They say they've gathered enough evidence to also indicate that the election was flawed and it was a stolen verdict. What do you say?
Well, I would have wished that they were here to share the evidence with us. I know that they do not have any evidence. I know that they have been fishing and looking for the evidence, and we have seen videos of them trying to comb the country, intimidating electoral officers, seeking to get what they can term as evidence. And I did suggest to them a few days earlier that even the cases in court that they have resumed already, they will abandon. And true to my forecasts, yesterday we were told that the suit they brought up, a writ of mandamus, they brought up in the Sunyani High Court.
Okay.
With regards to Techiman South, the NDC has gone to drop that. They have abandoned it. They do not have any evidence, and so that is clear.
Is that what really it means, that they do not have enough evidence?
Well, that's what it means. If you go and withdraw your case in court, it could be one of two options: that you want to pursue another route, or that the route that you have taken, you do not have enough evidence to pursue that case in court.
Okay.
But Bella, you are too aware that even the media, independent institution, important pillar of our governance structure, the media in this country, you guys were on the ground. You were involved in monitoring. You were involved in your own independent collation and even at a point projection. And you called the election rightly so. you were relying on data from the polling stations to the various collation centers. By the time that you did your collations and did your projections, you were not relying on the returning officer of the presidential election. Okay? You had done your own independent monitoring and collation, and you did your projection. And not just media general, multimedia did same, UTV did same. I mean, and so there is enough evidence on the ground that the people of Ghana spoke unanimously in favor of His Excellency the President and renewed his mandate. There cannot be any contestation about that. Were there a few administrative and mathematical issues that we can deal with? Yes, agreeably so. I mean, we can discuss those, some call it transpositional, mathematical, even grammatical, whatever you want to call it. But these are errors that do not go to the very foundation of the choice of the people of Ghana. So to want to lash on to administrative failures, even though the Supreme Court in its judgment in the Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and Jake versus the Republic, that case where when Nana Akufo-Addo took the Electoral Commission to court over the 2012 election, the Supreme Court held that it is not enough to rely on transpositional, grammatical, and mathematical errors to change the will of a people. Okay, so for me, the NDC is engaging in something that is rather dangerous to their own political survival, and that seeks to endanger the peace and unity of the state in their attempt to massage the feelings of their leadership. Because without a doubt, if you lost an election, I have lost elections before, I know how it feels. If you lost an election, one of the things you would want to do is to devise a strategy to assuage the feelings and disappointments of your supporters. So you quickly want to find avenue to shift blame. And so normally you see people claiming that, oh, the election was stolen, it was rigged. But in their heart of hearts, they know that they were beaten fair and square. So
would you say then that in your heart of hearts as a party in 2012, you knew that the verdict was fair, and yet you still indicated that it was a stolen verdict, there was overvoting, and that's why you went to court?
No, I'm saying that that's a strategy in the book. There cannot be any running away from that fact. It doesn't mean that any time that happens, then that is what is. But
why is it okay for it to be accepted when you guys go to court in 2012? But now that the NDC are saying it was a stolen verdict, you say that it's just a strategy from the book.
Well, you see, if you really and truly believe that you have a strong case, you do not resort to inciting people onto the streets and inviting people through dog whistles to engage in violence. Okay? If you believe and you have the evidence, and we did have a lot of evidence, what did we do? We proceeded to court, and we stayed in court for 8 months because we believed that we have a case. And this was a public hearing. Everybody followed it. We saw that returning officers did not sign pink sheets. We saw unknown polling stations because those pink sheets had codes that did not correspond to the codes that the Electoral Commission advertised. Again, we saw the grievous errors. In some instances, the tabulation, the numbers on the pink sheets, those in words and those in figures, were different. And the Electoral Commission decided to pick one. On what basis, only God knows. And we raised these points. And that is why it is instructive to note that it was a split decision by 5-4. And so it meant that there were 4 of the Supreme Court judges who agreed that we had a strong case. Okay? So it cannot be the case that, oh no, ours was just another gimmick of the NDC. The NDC is involved in the gimmicks because if they really and truly believe that they have a case, asking that former President John Dramani Mahama declare himself as president and form a parallel government will not be the way to go.
But yesterday, Honorable Yunusa Hussaini came out to say that he didn't necessarily mean, that they should go ahead and declare themselves, also president. Well, former President Dramani Mahama should not go ahead and declare himself, and that it was just also something he said from the book because of something that had happened in the past with the NPP.
I'm surprised. He said that he didn't say what he said,
Oh
or
yes,
he
he
didn't
did
mean
say
what
that.
he said.
He says that it was something that happened in the past with the NPP. I'm trying to pull up that story.
That we declared ourselves as...
Well, no, you did not declare. But then I remember sometime back, I think it was in 92 or 96, where the NPP also lost. Edu Boahen was also said to have been asked to declare himself, and he didn't go ahead to do it. So he was only saying that based on what had happened in the past.
This is a scam. I mean, I'm scandalized that a member of parliament, and if it was just an ordinary...
Let me just read it. I found it now. He says that, it says, outgoing MP for Tamale Central constituency says the NDC has no intention of forming a parallel government in the country. This comes after Yusuf Husseini's earlier suggestion to NDC's presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama to declare himself president and form a parallel government following the EC's declaration of President Akufo-Addo as the newly elected president. However, he said the party is ready to contest the results. And he says, yesterday he spoke on Joy FM. He says that the comment was a mere opinion borrowed from a book he read and not the general representation of the NDC as a party. I'm sort of shocked at the reaction of people. The idea is not new. It was recorded in Akentin Apia Menken's book, The River in the Sea, which was published in 2010 and recounted events from 92 when the NPP lost and Edu Boahen contemplated declaring himself president and forming a parallel government. It was a view expressed then, and that's a view I'm expressing now.
Well, I'm scandalized, and it makes his case even worse. I mean, some of the rationalizations can be rather insulting to the intelligence of the people of Ghana.
How so?
I would have thought that a plain and simple apology and a retraction would have sufficed. In fact, importantly, I would have expected the NDC, its leadership, former President John Dramani Mahama, to have disavowed Honorable Husseini by this time and distanced themselves from that clearly irresponsible and reckless statement. Okay? The silence of Mr. Dramani Mahama, the silence of the leadership of the NDC is rather telling and very suggestive. But the rationalization that is being offered now, that something was read in a book about a contemplation decades ago, and that it was merely a borrowing of a contemplation. For me, it is rather insulting to the intelligence of the people of Ghana. I would have thought that by this time, like I said, Mr. Mahama would have disavowed one of his closest advisors. By the way, Honorable Yusuf Husseini is a very, very close friend and associate of Mr. John Dramani Mahama, one of the key members of his inner caucus. He was a minister under his administration. And so he is that close, he's that influential. So it tells you of the thinking around the man. And that is reflected in the actions that we see. In fact, Mr. Mahama himself was present at an event, a press event, where the communications officer of the NDC introduced him and described him as president-elect. He didn't utter a word. In fact, there was thunderous applause.
Because they say they believe they won the elections,
but they cannot
and
be,
the NPP connived with the EC
to
turn the
results.
results.
The NDC cannot be a law unto themselves. They cannot be. Bella, we cannot run a system where if I believe today that I deserve to have won an election, I declare myself. That is an invitation to chaos. And if they will take my advice, I would suggest to them that they take the legal high road, and if they have any case, they should go to court. In fact, I will advise that they don't, because they will end up embarrassing themselves.
Why shouldn't they? The NPP went to court.
Well,
Why
no problem.
They?
I gave the advice first that if they believe they have the evidence, well, they should go to court. But I'm suggesting to them that they would embarrass themselves. They will abandon their own case in court. And we have started seeing some of those steps already. They went to court in Sunani. They have already abandoned.
You cannot use just one case to determine what will happen. And let me just read this. So the legal team of the NDC has affirmed that it has gathered enough evidence to challenge the results of the 2020 polls as declared by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah. It said evidence of the irregularities as gathered by the lawyers will be submitted to the NDC presidential candidate and former President John Mahama, who will decide the next line of action for the party for parliamentary election, looking at 9 seats, while presidential election was nationwide. So a member of the legal team, Abraham Amaliba, noted that evidence of the irregularities as gathered by the lawyers will be submitted to the NDC candidate John Mahama, who decided the next line of action. And he says that it also includes overvoting in some cases and a number of other allegations that they leveled against the NPP.
Well,
Similar allegations that the NPP also leveled against the NDC in 2012. One of them was overvoting.
I can only wish them well. I know that they have no basis whatsoever. They have attempted to go fishing. It's been over a week, and the NDC is yet to produce any evidence. If they now claim that they have gathered enough evidence to present to the flag bearer, for the flag bearer to make a determination as to whether to go to court or not, well, we await. We encourage them to do that, and that's what we have said from the very beginning, that these dog whistles, this invitation to chaos, and sometimes plain engaging in violence, like we saw in Ashiaman a fortnight ago, burning of property and so on, they should be discouraged. And they have advertised protests all over the country, and I've seen national officers of the NDC advertising protests. We don't need that. If you believe that you have won an election, what you do is to proceed to court. But they know that they lost an election fair and square. And as we speak now, the NPP has 137 members of parliament elect. The NDC has 136. One independent candidate who, without that, will sit with the NPP. We are very confident about our case in the Senate West, and so we are believing that with the minority member of parliament, Honorable Esiama, the NPP, the majority side, will sit about 140 members of parliament. And so we are confident that we will form a majority in parliament. However, we do appreciate that it will be the 9th parliament, right? Or the 8th?
It will be the 8th.
The 8th parliament,
yes.
There has to be a greater spirit of or level of cooperation and collaboration. And but we in the NPP, we have shown our capacity to collaborate and cooperate. You remember that John Ajekum Kufuor, His Excellency, at the time, brought in somebody who even was not a member of our party. Pakwesi Ndum was a Minister of State today, somebody who contested His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, both in the 2008 and 2012 elections, the then flag bearer of the People's National Convention. Nana Akufo-Addo brought him on board and made him ambassador at large. I'm talking about H.E.
His
Edward
business
Mahama.
was run down quite recently because of certain reasons. I mean, does that not defeat the purpose then?
Edward Mahama?
No, I'm talking about Dr. What's his name again?
Pakwesi
Ndum, yes.
No. I think that the laws will apply. We are not too sure whose ass is God. When there are the rules, they must apply to all equally. And so that was it. But I'm giving you an example of the capacity, the intention, and the will of the NPP to collaborate and cooperate to the extent of bringing on board people who even stood against you and contested you. If we can go that far, then I don't have any problem with NPP collaborating, an NPP majority collaborating with an NDC
Are you going to
minority.
appoint executives from the NDC?
Well, that may not be the only way to collaborate and to cooperate.
Okay, all right.
But of course, we have done that before. It may not be the only. It's a decision for His Excellency the President, but he has shown that he can do that. He has done it before. There's the track record and the history. But beyond appointments, a lot of collaboration, a lot of cooperation will have to happen. And I'm saying that on our side, we have shown that we are able to cooperate with our colleagues in the NDC.
Well, joining us from the NDC is Honorable Hassan Suyeni, and he has just retained his seat in Tamale North constituency. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bella.
You should be wearing white celebrating your re-election, should you not?
Well, I am mourning the death of Ghana's democracy last Monday, alongside with my colleagues. We think that there is an imminent threat to our democracy, given the events of this year's elections. And I think that people must begin to look at the issues devoid of their sympathies for either of the political parties. You should not be looking at what is happening based on whether you sympathize with the NDC or you sympathize with the NPP. You should be looking at it based on your love for democracy and how, when democracy fails, the alternative is worse, and how each of us can play a role to ensure that the democracy doesn't fail. Because you see, authority comes from the people of Ghana, and they agree in a democracy to allow their authority to be used on their behalf when they have confidence in the institutions that they have put in place to support democracy. But when you have a situation where they begin to lose confidence in that institution that is supposed to provide them with, in the case of an election, assurance that their votes matter and their votes count, it becomes quite disturbing. And that is why I will appeal to everybody to look at whatever is happening, whatever has happened since last Monday, devoid of their sympathies for either of the political parties. We have all listened to the Electoral Commission, give us excuses over, mathematical errors that they have done. We have seen the military, never before in our elections shoot and kill people in the manner that they did. I mean, we have seen them intimidate, people at polling stations. In some cases, have successfully overturned results against the will of the people. I mean,
and are these all parts of your evidence in terms of overturning the results?
Well, yes. I mean, you saw what has happened in Techiman South. We all saw it. I mean, the way they shot people in Techiman South and eventually have declared the results in favor of the NPP.
Why have you withdrawn the case from Techiman, from the Sunyani court in Techiman South?
I'm unaware of that. What I do know is that as at yesterday, our officers in Techiman South could not find the EC officers to even serve them with a petition. Monday, their offices were locked down. They were not responding to their calls. They could not be found to be served with a petition. That's why I'm saying when acts like this are allowed to, go on, they chip at the confidence that people have in the institutions that are set up to support democracy. And the alternative becomes what we all do not want. And so that is why we are mourning that imminent threat to our democracy and hoping that people will wake up to that threat and play whatever role that they can play to ensure that, the right things are done.
What do you say about Honorable Yusuf Hussaini indicating that former President Mahama should go ahead and declare himself as president-elect and form a parallel government? He has come out to say that was just an opinion from a book from the past. But was it even right for him to have made that statement in the first place?
You see, I listened to Honorable Yusuf Hussaini, and true to the character of the former president, John Dramani Mahama, who, even in his statement, rejecting the results, talked about the faith that he still had in our institutions. In that, interview that Honorable Yusuf Hussaini had, he said that that was an idea he suggested to the former president, and he dismissed it outright. Because that is the nature of the former president. He is not going to do anything that is illegal.
But he's not going to support.
He's not going to support anything. I'm telling you about leadership. And that is the problem we have had with Nana Akufo-Addo. Some of these very strange decisions have come from himself because he supports and likes it. And so it is done to please him. But when you have a leader, who will not countenance such ideas, his followers are allowed to toy with it. But once he does not agree with it, it's not going to work. And first of all, it is not an original idea. Like Honorable Yusuf Hussaini has said, it's not an original idea. It is an idea that the MPP has toyed with before when they lost elections. So Honorable Yusuf Hussaini repeats that idea that the MPP has toyed with. But what is good is that he indicates that the leader of the NDC in the person of President Mahama does not even find that idea worth considering. But these were leaders of the MPP who toyed with this idea in the past.
In 92. Our democracy has grown over the years. And so we expect that as it grows, we also make better decisions. And so is it not disturbing that we have one of the people very close to former President Mahama even making this suggestion? And just in case former President Mahama had also agreed to go ahead with that decision, Then
But
imagine the chaos that would have been thrown in as a country.
So that is
But
why
that's
we
not
must.
even true.
That is why
Hold
we
on,
must.
hold on, please.
And that is why we must be lucky and happy to have a person like President Mahama, who is not controlled by the whims and caprices of his followers. He is a man who has gone through the system and has continued to exhibit his faith in the system and how it can work. On the other side, we have a man who, after witnessing people being shot dead during an election, comes to address the nation and refers to 5 people dying, 18-year-old, 39-year-old, as few deaths, exhibiting his love for power more than his love for the people. I mean, I am telling you the character of these two people. You have a man, and I'm saying we should be happy and lucky that despite the thoughts of people close to him, he is one with an undiluted faith in democracy and in the systems of Ghana to work. And even with such an idea being toyed around him, we are told he dismissed it. And I'm saying, on the other hand, you have a man who supervises an election as a president, unleashes soldiers to kill the very people he wants to lead, and doesn't even have the sense of mind to sympathize with the families of the 18-year-old who was gunned down for simply standing up for his right as instructed by the Constitution. But how does the president refer to those? Few deaths. Few. As if to suggest that he expected even more. Maybe he did. Perhaps that's why he unleashed the army in the first place.
So your concern is not about the fact that he did not even mention it. He did mention it, but the fact that he referred to it as few deaths is
even
disturbing.
One death,
okay,
Bella, is not few. One is not few. Bella, and to make
and
to talk about an 18-year-old boy who's really, wrong, is that he stood at the polling station to ensure his vote was not stolen, is shot dead, and you have the president refer to us as few. Few. Goodness. How insensitive can a man be for his love for power?
Let me bring Pius.
Just imagine that 18-year-old is your brother. Just imagine for a moment.
Pius, what do you have to say about this?
I think that in the absence of any substantive evidence and argumentation, I can understand my brother's appeal to emotions. It will not wash. This is very fake and fabricated. His Excellency the President showed concern and sympathy over the matter and expressed same. The fact of the matter is that the incidences of violence during, before and after the election were rather isolated, and therefore justifies the use of the word few. Let's not suggest that the word few does not exist in the English verbiage and that it should not be used. It does exist, and it was few. Okay? And I'm saying to you that
even one death is not few.
You see, well, unless you
just
want to say that.
Imagine that 18-year-old.
If I may, don't stop this preaching this morning. Let's deal with the matters frontally and deal with the problems that you created.
Brother, so you
because when you mobilize people and your own children are chilling off somewhere, but you mobilize people and push them to engage in the acts that you're encouraging them to, those are some of the unfortunate fallouts.
But the NDC would not be the only guilty party for this issue that you have raised.
I'll come to that. But you see, Mr. Mahama has an opportunity to publicly disavow Honorable Linus Afusini. Has he done that? No, he has not. This claim that something he refuses in private does not wash with the people of Ghana. The leadership of the NDC, they have an opportunity to condemn the irresponsible comments of Mr. Honorable Yunus Afusini. Have they done that? No. This claim that it was an idea that was toyed with before by the NPP, that's not even correct. But assuming without admitting that that is even the case, and so what? That's a rationalization. But in any case, it is not even true that the NPP ever toyed with that idea. And the idea that it was put in a book, why? Didn't somebody from the NDC put in a book that a group of young men and women were put together to denigrate, insult, and to reduce the influence of Jerry Rawlings in the NDC, and therefore the clique, Babies with Sharp Teeth, in his book. This man who wrote the book in the NDC, working with the Rollinses. So because it was written in a book, means that it is true. So for me, let's deal with the main issues. And I'm saying to you that, Bella, you in Media General, you followed the elections. You did your own independent collation. You did your tabulation. You even did your projections. You were relying on votes from the polling centers and from the coalition centers. Correct or not? Correct. So the Media General could not have conspired with the Electoral Commission and the MPP. Multimedia, Joy FM, Joy News, and their allied radio stations, they also conspired with the Electoral Commission and the MPP. United Television, they also conspired. The AU Observer Mission, the ECOWAS Observer Mission, Codeo, all these people conspired with the Electoral Commission and the MPP to call the elections for the... Then it means that the MPP has majority of the people of Ghana behind it anyways. These people don't have any credible case. They have gone fishing, and for his information, they actually have gone to withdraw the case, the writ of mandamus in the Sunyani court. So if he's uninformed about that, that is for his information. Number two, if you even claim that they cannot find people in the offices, the NDC doesn't know about substituted service. I'm telling you that our colleagues just do not have a case, okay?
But they say they've got evidence enough
you see, my brother
to
here,
go to court.
My very good friend, but I'm disappointed this morning. He's approbating and reprobating in one breath. The Electoral Commission delivers a victory verdict for him. He's happy. And so when you congratulated him, he accepted it. Then he turns around to say that that same Electoral Commission, over which he is happy because they declared a victory verdict for him at the parliamentary, that one the Electoral Commission did well. But when they declared the victory verdict for somebody at another level, no, they are demonized. And so we have to celebrate the death of Ghana's democracy.
But if they suspect
the death
any
of Ghana's
form
democracy, that birthed him. The same democracy that put him in parliament, MP elect.
But if they suspect any fraud in other constituencies, they shouldn't speak up because he's won his constituency.
If democracy has died, then he has died. He's a product of the democracy that he claims has died. So he's approbating and reprobating.
So he shouldn't look out for his brothers?
We should be consistent. Okay? So I'm saying that if they are assuming without admitting that there are even challenges in your view in one or two areas, you do not call a democracy, the Ghanaian democracy, dead. Because you are a product of you are a product of the process. So if the democracy has died, then why are you MP elect?
Okay.
Is it not the same democracy that has produced you?
Hold on. Honorable Suyuni, your team, your legal team says that they have gathered enough evidence. The concern here is, with all the press briefings that you've held, we still do not have that substantial evidence to indicate that the NDC has enough to go to court. Where is the evidence and what does it say?
Well, first of all, we have not even yet indicated if we are going to court and when we are doing that. What we have said is that all legitimate means will be used to register our position, which is that we reject the results as announced by the Electoral Commission. That's our position. And we will use all legitimate means.
What does that mean then?
That includes going to court. But going to court, mind you, is not the only legitimate means that can be used to show a rejection of an election that has been
What are the other legitimate means?
Fictitiously. All legitimate means. All legitimate means.
What
for
those?
example, when my brother talks about, people gathering to justify the shooting and killing of those people, he forgets that Article 21, I think 1D, talks about the right to assemble and the right to join processions. That is a legitimate means.
As a means of rejecting presidential
As a means of protesting and exhibiting whatever you want done. And mind you, Bella,
But can that cause chaos? Because if you are asking people to step out, first of all, to jubilate what you say is an election that you won, and then the EC comes out and says that the election went in favor of the MPP, these same people are the ones who are on the streets jubilating. How are they supposed to feel? Are they not now going to, get violent on the streets?
They are using
for some reason.
They are using the Trump
Hold
handbook.
on, Honorable Pius.
Bella, I'm saying that the right to assemble, the right to join any procession is a legitimate means
It doesn't remedy
that
your
anybody can use. And so if you find NDC supporters across the country, rank and file, joining processions and freely associating with whatever, protest that they feel they must be part of, please do not think it is illegitimate.
What
is
about
illegitimate?
burning of tires
Please,
in certain areas?
What is illegitimate is shooting to kill them. That is illegal. So please do not focus on people assembling, because that is guaranteed by our constitution.
It is understood.
At every point in time, whatever grievance you have, you can gather. What is illegal is letting soldiers go and shoot and kill them. So please, let us shift
But what happens when they start
that.
destroying properties?
Yes, when they start destroying
because
properties.
Even around Christian Village, there are some people that the police said they have arrested because they were burning tires.
The right thing to do,
and these were people who went out
the
to
right
protest.
thing to do is to arrest them and prosecute them, not to shoot and kill them.
But the leadership of the party should be able to speak to these people and ensure that they don't go out there and cause harm.
No, exactly. I mean, nobody has asked anybody to.
The
You don't have
leadership
to
of the
say
party
it.
is
You don't
involved.
have to say it.
Bella,
Hold on,
the leadership is involved.
Hold on, please.
They cannot stop them because they are
You
involved.
don't have to necessarily tell them not to destroy property. But in this case where you're asking them to go out and jubilate, and then now they're going out to protest what they believe is a flawed elections, that in itself could lead to violence.
So you're saying that even though we have a right to protest what we consider to be wrong, because of the potential to cause confusion that may disrupt your peace, our right should be buried. We shouldn't protest.
So are you saying it's okay to now cause disruption?
No, I'm saying that because you are talking about the potential to cause disruption.
And in some cases, we've seen properties destroyed.
So you are saying because of that, people
I'm
right.
asking
No,
you.
I'm also asking you. People
No,
right.
I don't answer questions here. I'm asking you that.
No, but what I'm
should
saying-
you not
okay,
be
bro,
concerned
no,
that
so wait a
in
minute.
a bid to protest the elections, we could find some people destroying properties, causing harm? It could
So
tend
because
violence.
of that, if we have legitimate cause to protest, we shouldn't.
Bro, the remedy that you seek.
We shouldn't.
The
Please.
solution.
No, I am
Hold
still
on,
on the
please.
floor.
Yeah, but we are
take over.
engaging.
Don't take
Guys,
over.
hold on.
We are
I'll let
engaging.
you come in, please. Let
I'm saying that
speak.
the fact that some people may cause trouble when they assemble is enough reason why, when you have a genuine case to protest, you should not protest.
What if
I'm saying is
one
that
death is recorded as a result of these protests?
that
Because
is-
you're the same person saying
it is
that,
the death we must condemn, and not the right to assemble. It is
which
the
we are
death.
not condemning, by
Yes.
the way.
So I'm saying that as a party, we have all our evidence. We will determine the right course to take. Look, as we sit, the Electoral Commission has done amendments to its own declared results, hasn't it? It has. The published results have been amended a couple of times. Indeed, it is only about a day or two ago that we were told that they have fictitiously again declared Techiman Saf for the NPP. So the Electoral Commission is still in the process of working. It's still in the process of changing its figures without being compelled by a court. So what this should tell you is that if we all came out together to point to the infractions that we see, the Electoral Commission is still seized with the power at this stage to change what it has declared. It doesn't have to take a court to get them to do that. Indeed, they have already done that in the last couple of days. Change their own figures. So why will anybody think
from the
that
abundance
the
of the
only
heart.
way,
Hold on,
please, that the only way to get the Electoral Commission to change what it has declared at this stage is to go to court?
And so you believe that by speaking up, the EC is going to keep making corrections until what is due the NDC comes to you?
You remember when I started, I said, let us not look at this issue as an NDC MPP thing. So it is not by us speaking out as NDC, it is by us Ghanaians. Bella, in your reportage, when you were covering the elections, tell us, did you get all your figures from your reporters
on the ground.
Permit me to read
Correct.
that statement that was put out by Media General again, and that
Correct.
should answer the question. So it says that we have observed comments on social media and other media on TV3 and Media General's coverage of the results on the 2020 elections, particularly on projections of seats won by political parties in the parliamentary elections. We wish to state that all the projections were made on the number of parliamentary seats by the parties were based on the information we had received at a particular time. The projections which were made were not in any way intended to be the definitive results of the elections. It must be noted that the projections were changed from time to time as we received new information which were analyzed. Our election coverage was not intended to favor any political party or candidate, and any contrary perceptions is deeply regretted. We take this opportunity to assure our audience and other stakeholders, including political parties, of our continued commitment to provide balanced and impartial reportage.
Brilliant
We had
piece.
men on the ground.
Brilliant piece. But you did not indicate where your piece of information
We
was
had
coming
men
from.
on the ground.
EC, they said in the
So-
EC.
please.
They said it.
Hold on,
They said
Pius.
it.
Hold on,
Pius,
Pius.
Pius.
Please.
Pius.
We had men on the ground. We had a team here that was also compiling the figures and analyzing.
Did you get all the information
the
you
essence of
had
this interrogation?
from your reporters?
Why are you
That's
being
what I'm saying,
interrogated?
that we had men on the ground. And so
I know,
that should
you do.
justify the statement.
You do. You had
that we
men
put
on the
out.
ground. But I'm saying, did you get all the figures from
Your point-
the
your
people
point being-
My point, fantastic. My point is that you made mistakes also at the general.
Hey, I mean,
Right? You got other information that helped you to correct those, mistakes that you made and moved forward. That is how a human institution works. The Electoral Commission continue to make mistakes and continue to correct them. And we are still within that window. That window still exists for the Electoral Commission to correct them.
Okay.
So let nobody be foolhardy and insist.
Please land on this, so
Yes,
Pius
let
can
nobody be foolhardy and insist that what we have declared is final. Assuming Media General took the position that, yes, people have pointed to us what is wrong, but we have already projected, we have declared, we won't go back. Would people protesting have been the problem, or your attitude of saying we won't change it because we have already declared what is wrong, the problem?
Okay.
Obviously, the fact that you not addressing their concern will be the problem and not the people protesting.
Okay. Let Pius come in.
Bella, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So says the good book. And I'm very, very happy that you are able to extract it out of my good brother and friend here this morning. The true intent of the NDC is to exert pressure on the Electoral Commission in the view that the Electoral Commission can change the declaration in favor of John Mahama. My brother, that's not going to happen.
But he says
There's
that
no
it is
route
not
in law.
a matter of the NDC.
There's
MPP,
no route in law. But
getting
they are the ones who are
Ghanaians to
exerting the
speak up.
pressure. They are the ones who are exerting the pressure. Okay, I'm a Ghanaian to you, are a Ghanaian.
But what's the guarantee that
But I'm
every
saying
Ghanaian
that-
that speaks
but I'm
out
saying
belongs
that-
to the NDC?
I'm saying that. I mean, any Ghanaian who wants to speak can speak. But if they are involved in mobilizations, like we see them advertising, you have seen it. They are advertising for people to move onto the streets. Their general secretary, deputy general secretary, was on live TV inviting people to go to the collation center and that they should be prepared to die. They said these things publicly. So they are the ones to blame for the deaths if they occurred. Okay? Because you were the ones who invited the people to and charged them up. But I'm saying that there is a prescription in the law as to how to remedy a problem relative to presidential elections if you see a problem. It is not through street protest to put pressure. So you are acting out of sync with the Constitution by attempting to use that route, claiming that because the Electoral Commission is still in the process of work, you can demonstrate and pressurize it to take one certain course of action. Then we are coming to a rule of the stronger men, not the will of the people. So that when you feel that you are able to mobilize people on the grounds, then you can use that as cohesive force to pressurize the Electoral Commission. That is no way to want to run a country. It speaks to the desperation and the power drunkenness of the opposition. All they seek to get is power. Not even for development of this country, but for the sake of it. Because if you want to get power for the development of the people, you don't sacrifice the people in your effort to get that power. So what are we saying? We are saying that if indeed you say you have a case, stop these street protestations, stop these incitations to violence, proceed to the proper platform where these matters can be interrogated, which is the court, and have these matters dealt with. But the argument that the electoral commission has done some amendments and minor corrections to their tabulations because there have been mathematical errors. He is aware that this is not the first time. In 2012, for instance, the celebrated Dr. Ferijan, having declared the presidential election, came back to do some minor calculations. That did not change the verdict of the people of Ghana. And our history as a country is replete. There are human beings, mere mortals working there. Sometimes these transpositional errors, these mathematical errors, sometimes even grammatical errors can occur.
But we're dealing with a very critical issue here. Should we not avoid some of these errors?
But I'm saying that, yeah, that is the ideal situation. That's what we all aspire to. And I'm saying that we must try as much as possible to avoid mistakes. And if mistakes occur, we should interrogate those mistakes. But if the mistakes after interrogation, it is clear that the mistakes do not fundamentally change the status quo, what are we crying over? We are crying over nothing.
Did she rush in declaring the results? Because then she had enough days. Nobody held a gun to her head to declare the results. First, she mentioned that it was going to be done within 24 hours, all things being equal. The EC comes out and says that due to a few issues here and there, we're not able to meet that 24-hour deadline, and so we'll do it the next day. But nobody really was, chasing her to ensure that she declares the results immediately.
Bella.
Could they not have taken their time and worked on all these issues before coming out to declare?
Bella, the electoral commissioner, Afarijan, did not declare within 24 hours. He still came back to make some corrections. I agree that the ideal thing is that perfection, okay? But it is also a good ideal that in this country, we work towards a speedy declaration of results, especially against the background of what politicians can do within that lacuna, within that time frame, when the people of Ghana are waiting for the results. The way tensions can rise. And if you saw what was happening in this country, sometimes it becomes justifiable that people want to quickly do these things. And I think that it was a good thing that the electoral commissioner sought to speedily, not sacrifice accuracy on the altar of speed. And so there has to be a balancing act. But I think that it is a good thing that the institution of the electoral commission will want to work to or get us to the level where within 24 hours after voting, we declare our results.
There's no rush,
but I'm saying that it's a good thing. But it doesn't mean that we should sacrifice accuracy. It's a good thing. Bella, it's a good thing.
Okay.
And I think that maybe, honestly, my view is that that second layer, and which is a legal matter, and they passed the airline in Parliament, of a regional coalition center, may also have to be watched again, because from the constituency coalition center, then it came to the regional coalition center, then it came to Accra. A lot of delays occurred at the regional coalition center.
And manipulations.
I understand.
But you see, we were not made to believe that, because we were told that is actually going to speed the process. Because then it will now have to come to the national center for them to now go through it and, certify before they declare.
Well, but
because
it turned out that
it will go through the regional.
It turned out that even though the expectation was to facilitate it and make it a little more speedy, it turned out that it rather delayed, because there were some constituencies, in some instances, the whole region had to wait because of one or two constituencies, okay? And so, in my view, but they legislated this, they're the members of parliament, and so they know why they put in that layer of verification. But I'm saying that going forward, I think that these are some of the things that should be watched.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any manipulations. I'm aware that there may have been some delays in the coalition, at the coalition center. There were no delays.
Okay. You're not aware of any manipulations. The MPP also not contesting some seats.
No, those ones are not. We are contesting some seats, but those ones are not on the basis of manipulations at the regional level. Those ones were a question of coalition at the coalition center. For instance, in Sydney West, somebody, I don't want to say our colleagues in the NDC, somebody came and snatched the ballot box, ran away, the police chased him, got him God knows where. By the time they came back, the MPP seal had been tampered with, was actually broken. It would be unreasonable for us to accept that. Okay.
Let a logic come in.
Because the NDC have their seal, the Electoral Commission have their seal. But if you are working with Electoral Commission officers who can tear off Nana Akufo-Addo's head from the ballot, then why can't you think that they will conspire with the NDC to go and hide somewhere?
Let's Alaji come in and take the last
So we are not able to accept that ballot.
Okay, Alaji.
He said earlier about abundance of the heart. Nobody accused him of manipulation or accused them of manipulation at the regional center, but he had to put it in there that he is unaware of it.
No, you said
manipulation.
No, you said that manipulation.
That is why we will not be stampeded as a party to begin to display the nature of evidence that we have gathered. All we are appealing to people at this stage is, for them to do is for them to at least give our democracy, not even the NDC, our democracy the benefit of the doubt. We have so much as a party to lose if this Fourth Republic is not saved. And so we will not be the first to put it in danger. But we will not also, because of that, refuse to highlight and raise critical questions that have to be raised. The NDC practically birthed this fourth democracy. Even when the NPP boycotted the writing of the 1992 Constitution, boycotted the first parliament, the NDC managed to put the Fourth Republic together. And so we are very proud of it. And we will not do anything that will put it in danger. But we will not also look on whilst people, undertake actions that will chip away the gains that we have made as a country, as far as the democracy that we have, decided to experiment with is concerned. We have gathered our evidence. We believe that many institutions were compromised, including the Electoral Commission. They, as a result, manipulated some of the, channels that were used for transmission of results, which led to some of the results, being massaged.
Alaji, do you have evidence to back this?
We do. And that is why I'm saying that we will not be stampeded into how we will use that evidence. But we have that evidence, But do the people of Ghana not deserve to know, especially because you have held a series of press conferences telling the people of Ghana that the election is flawed? And so if you have evidence, for some reason, should we also not get to know
They are now manufacturing.
Bella,
they are now manufacturing.
Hold on, Pius, please.
Bella, you see, you need to treat a wound before you put medicine on it. So first of all, there's a need for people to keep an open mind about these discussions before you put whatever you have out there for it to be accepted. So what have we done first? You have seen a team analyze even the EC's own figures and the EC's own letters, pointing to the inaccuracies and the contradictions even in the EC's own figures.
So that's the evidence.
That is to prepare the minds for what we have. That is to let people know that, yes, indeed, something went wrong. People, first of all, have to move from let us move on to, yes, indeed, there is a problem that have to be addressed. Look, I have spoken to many media friends. It will not be fair to put their names out here. I've spoken to many media friends across, the divide. And even at their own level of collating data, they have questions.
Okay.
They have questions.
Well,
but you see, dare to ask those questions, and you will either be tagged as threatening the peace of the country.
What are you suggesting?
NDC.
Well, Ghanaians deserve to know what exactly it is that you have been able to compile.
Yes, look at.
If you could tell them,
I have been
on
a
number
media
of
person.
occasions that
I have
the
been a
elections
media
was flawed.
person, for example.
They
Bella,
deserve to know.
for a very long
Your
time.
caliber doesn't exist anymore.
And what I noticed.
Please land on this for me.
What I noticed, Bella, what I noticed in this election was that at a point, the media was reduced to just reporting, and I missed media activism. Social media activism rather was pointing to errors and insisting they were corrected. But traditional media activism was simply reduced to just reporting.
Wow, Bella.
Okay.
Now the blame
Bella,
let me put it in context.
It's quite unfair.
Now the blame has moved.
But let's move on.
Bella,
We're done,
but the
gentlemen. We'll have to wrap up.
You did a great job. The media did a great job. They worked tirelessly.
The media did a great
Listen,
job.
you worked tirelessly. But you did not engage in media activism.
Okay.
It is different from media reporting.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
You cannot
Our time is
different
up.
from
We have to
media
wrap up.
activism.
Yeah,
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Unfortunately,
but I'm saying that, you see,
our time is up.
You blame everybody. Now you're including the media, the police, the military, the media, the
That's what you
EC,
heard.
ECODO,
That's what
AU.
you heard.
I mean, what is
That
this? You
is
lost
what
an
you
elections.
heard. All right.
Please,
That is what you
please
heard.
Thank you so
understand this
much.
and let's move on.
That is what you heard.
lost an
Honorable
election at the presidential level.
Alaji Sweeney is the MP-elect for Tamale North. Alaji, this will be what, your second term or third? Your second term. Interesting.
We
wish you the very
congratulate him,
best.
wish him
Thank you
well.
very much.
We wish you the very best.
Okay.
And also, we've been speaking to Honorable Pius Hajide. He is the Deputy Information Minister. And, well, we'll have this conversation tomorrow again on Newspaper Review. But until then, TV3 New Day continues. My name is Berla Mundi.